embrace the chaos. There is literally no choice. The transfer portal window is still open. The NFL draft deadline is Wednesday. There's coaches being pursued left and right, Bob.
Coach poach?
That's just the way it works. The coach poach. That's where we begin this week on the live show at Roosters, a fun casual joint brought to you by Tansky Powersports and Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. I'm told, Bob, that the roof of the Woody is caved in, that the program is done.
That's just because there's holes in the roof. They won't be able to fix them.
Okay.
I drove by it.
It's still standing?
It's still standing?
No, it looked a lot like the end of Infinity War. The breakup, and the Woody just disappeared.
Got snapped?
Yeah, when Thanos, he killed it, the Woody died, and so did Ohio State football.
Well, that's crazy because the only two teams that beat them this year are playing for the national championship next week.
And by the way, do you feel better about that game after watching Indiana just literally take the whooping stick to everybody?
They're really good. They're really good, you guys. And I said to my husband right after, like when Miami won, Indiana won, and I was like, I feel so much better. This just makes me feel so much better because those are the teams we lost to. And obviously they're great teams. Miami's just on a roll, I guess. Like they're better than...
They have a very talented roster.
They're playing really good football right now.
They are, and better than they were, I guess.
Yeah, well, that's part of it. Yeah. It's like you get hot in their quarterback. I mean, Carson Beck, you look at his numbers, like, they're efficient, but it's not like, hey, Carson Beck went out there and was 24-31 for 4 touchdowns. And
he's not willing them to victories.
But he is willing them in a sense, like when he ran in that last one for a touchdown.
Oh, no, I don't mean they're not putting it all on his arm for 400 yards. Like, he's that guy. He's running their offense very efficiently.
Making plays.
His last, during our game, they put it was like last 6 games, he was 13 touchdowns, 1 interception.
That's it.
Versus early in the season is where we saw a lot of those turnovers and, a couple pick games. So he's really settled in and, that's what we wanted to see our team kind of be doing at the end of the year. That's what every college coach wants. You want to be playing your best ball when you get to that point, and Miami's doing so. And when you get that confidence as well in a big game, you win your first playoff game, that confidence starts to build. The guys, rally around that, and I think they're just all bought in right now.
I think, though, if Miami would have played against Ohio State like they did Ole Miss, I think Ohio State beats them by probably 7-10. Like Carson Beck gave him the interception at the end. Mm-hmm. They didn't have a single penalty against Ohio State. They had a couple of critical penalties that some they were able to overcome, but Nick Saban said it at the half. He's like, unless they have a sack or a penalty, they don't get stopped. And that was the reality in the second half as well.
Yeah, so there's a lot to get into with that. That's Justin Zwick, Nicole Cox, Bobby Carpenter. I am Austin Ward. Jeremy Birmingham will be here later on in the show, and he's got everything you could possibly want covered from the transfer.
Been a busy man here.
I don't know that he has slept or eaten in.
Well, we know he hasn't eaten.
He
the
looks
guy's
fantastic.
fading away over there.
Mm-hmm.
He is. But I just had a feeling, Nicole, that you would be feeling much better about the evaluation of Ohio State's season. Like, if you want to still look at it, and I think we can say Ohio State did more to potentially lose those games based on the offensive woes against Indiana, some of the lack of execution against Miami. But it turns out that they were both really good teams that beat Ohio State. So I know that that's a silver lining. It doesn't replace the fact that the Buckeyes could have and maybe in our opinion should have won a national championship. But if you go 12-2 and the only teams that beat you play for the national championship, probably we're doing something right.
Exactly. I just think it really justifies the whole situation. I felt so much better, honestly, when all of this got finalized. And I do think we're better than Miami. I do. At the end of the day, I just feel like things have just been going right for them. Yeah. And like you guys were talking about, they're just on a roll right now. Indiana is really good. Like, end of story. They are just a great team. And that's
I'm watching those games, wondering man, we held them to 13 points.
Puts a different light on 13-10.
Yeah, I'm like, these guys are good.
You can say how good they are, but you're a 28-yard field goal away from tying the game and probably sending it to overtime. And also
being on that side of things.
Everybody also complained that you didn't play very well.
Yeah.
So you didn't play very well against a team that everybody said now looks unbeatable, and you had a field goal to tie it with under a minute left.
2 drives inside the 10 in the second half. And again, that's all stuff that we've talked about plenty, but I do think that it puts at least a different light on it. We can still be upset about.
It's not like Miami went out and laid an egg. Indiana hasn't gone out and laid an egg. Like they're all playing pretty good football right now.
I mean,
and like you said, it makes us look great too. It shows how great we are by being able to kind of keep up with Indiana and kind of hold them a little bit.
No.
More close game and keep
it
up.
really
We did
does.
more than that. Yeah.
Yeah.
But to your point, we were in those games. We didn't get blown out by anybody. It was close.
Exactly.
And we just didn't play our A games when maybe they did when we played them.
I saw this on the Tennessee message boards this morning.
Oh, boy.
And
Going down the Tennessee message boards in the morning, huh?
It was just kind of
Well, it made message board geniuses.
It did. And I started following them, which I find a very entertaining follow. Austin knows this from his time, his some of his favorite time, he said, spending it down in Knoxville.
Don't put words.
Favorite
He said, yes. He said that's if there was one school.
I would leave.
If I could go back
If I
and
could go
relive.
back, Rocky Top, baby.
Uh-huh.
You know, I think he actually told me this the other day. He goes, did you ever wish that someone would have told you were in the good old days
when you were in the good
before
old
you
days?
actually left them? That was Austin in Tennessee.
Me and the Nard Dog.
Being the Nard Dog. But I heard today where there was going to be and then someone actually asked me this as well today, not at the Woody, but they're like, is Ryan Day going to make an announcement today? I'm like, well, I saw this morning on Message Board Genius, the Tennessee message boards are saying that he's going to announce he's going to the NFL at some point today.
There were
So I'm like, it's got to be true, right?
Yeah.
I mean, if Tennessee,
If it's on the message
they go,
board.
it's time to start poaching their roster. Is what that was the crux of why they put it on
Coach Poach and roster Poach,
Yeah.
Bob. I mean, there were people over the weekend, and we'll talk about this a lot more with Birm, that were like, gosh, this amount of attrition that's happening for Ohio State with the transfer portal and what's going on with the roster size and NIL and all these other things. There has to be some other explanation. There must be something going on with Ryan Day. There is not.
So-
it's just a philosophical change, and Ryan Day is not. Maybe someday he will. That
Yeah.
day is not today or anytime soon.
But when you start talking about, and this is what kind of stinks, and I'm praying that there's some movement at the AFCA Coaches Convention here this week, where they will come to some sanity about what the future of college football looks like with the calendar.
Sanity.
Yes, please.
Listen, I mean, we're talking about 24 teams apparently in the playoff. I mean, there's a lot of craziness.
Starting it in January.
But I'm hoping.
No.
Well, why don't they just listen? Play the regular season. We'll play the tournament in the spring, in lieu of spring ball. We'll play it in March. That way, everybody can get healthy. Everybody can change.
Plenty of time.
You can change the portal open. You can change your roster, and then we'll play.
And then we'll do the
And
playoffs.
your coaching staff.
Then we'll play.
Not a
the
bad
playoff.
idea.
But everybody saw the attrition. What are there, 20 some odd players in the portal? I mean, when you start looking, they anybody that goes in, they count, but it's probably 22 or 23, which is still about half or about 60% of what the total percentage of guys are, because there's about 35 to 40% of college football right now in the portal. So if you're at like 20%, I would say that's being under the
Ahead of the
average.
curve.
You're significantly
Under the threshold.
significantly ahead of that curve. And the thing that saddens me about this is I came to this conclusion on probably Thursday night of people, because someone, and then Friday night, people are like, Indiana, how long are they going to leave their starters in? I'm like, well, you want to keep them sharp. You don't want to get them hurt, so it's a fine balance. But why? They worry about playing their backups? Like, those guys aren't going to be there.
No.
Like, there's no development going
there's
on.
no development.
They don't. They brought in their guys. They're all transfers anyway. Like, what do I care about playing my
Also,
the
their
backup guys?
Their backups, like Indiana and Miami specifically,
They're not
there aren't people that you want to put out there.
exactly. And so this goes to the point of, it saddens me that we're in this position in this state in college football now, where if you're a kid that grew up in whatever state and you dream of going to big state U, whether that's Ohio State, Michigan, LSU, Florida, pick Notre Dame, I don't
Penn
care.
State, any of
Pick
those
it.
big programs.
And you're thinking, okay, and I go, you may even be good enough to get there. That you're in the small percentage, infinitely small percentage of people that are able to get there. I don't know that you'll be able to go there right out of high school anymore, unless you were like the top 10 players in the given class, because you're not going, or you're willing to go there, and maybe this is part of it too, going there like, hey, I'm not taking any
You're not going to get that big check.
I'm going there.
It's the opportunity.
And I'm going here for the opportunity to practice for 2 years, get better, in hopes that my second, third, fourth, I'll be able to play at that point. Because the way that it's worked now, what we've incentivized is, okay, well, I can't afford to pay somebody and win in high school recruiting unless it's Chris Henry
Unless
or
they're going to play
Jeremiah
for me the
Smith
next year.
or
and I know
Joey
it.
Bosa or someone who's going to be a contributor right away. And there's probably 10 to 12 of those guys a year. The rest of you guys, you've got to go to a smaller Power 5 or Power 4 or Group of 5 school. Hopefully you play really well there for a year or 2 years, 3, and then you can hopefully be in a situation where you can circle your way back and then come to this school. And I sit there and think, I'm like, what kind of a college experience? Like what kind of development? Like what are we teaching these guys? Like it just that hurt me. Like as I came to that realization that I don't know. Like Justin, we had 25 guys in our class, maybe 10 to 12 of those guys. I don't know if I would have been one of them even. Like that would have been able to go to school there and been like ready to go and get developed.
Yeah, for sure. And another thing about that, just to tag team, if you're an Ohio State guy and you're on the team. You see Bobby around all the time. You see Ohio State guys who played in the league who are living back in this community. When you're just bouncing around, where do you call home?
Yeah.
You know, got a big game. I'm in the league. I got the week off. I want to go. Okay, yeah. Well, I can go here. Or I can go there. Like you just don't have that home. And I think
4 teams, who's at home?
well, yeah, right. Exactly. But
Which one will invite me back?
Yeah.
I feel like it's short-sighted to a point where it's like, all right, I want this money now, but they're not thinking about the rest of their lives. And in Columbus, we have, a lot of the guys we played with live around this area. Guys who were successful in the league.
Yeah.
I want to be in Columbus. It's a good city. It's where I went to college and put down some roots. And, I just don't think these kids are even thinking about that or seeing it. It's just all dollar signs nowadays, which is sad.
Yeah, it shouldn't be about the dollar. I think it's the kids need to invest in themselves. And coming to Ohio State, you are going to get the best training, the best growth for yourself. And I don't know.
Yeah, these big checks to get them here, though, young, have got to go away, right?
Those are probably done. But then the other problem is the guys that get in the portal. And you see a lot of these guys that are getting in. It's like you were here for a year, and you were behind Caleb Downs. You were behind like this great
what'd
player.
You expect?
You knew you
Jeremiah
weren't
Smith
play.
and Carnell Tate.
Yeah, you knew you weren't going to play a ton. But now you're getting the portal. But so why? Like you're going to probably have a pathway to get on the field.
We took care of you, even knowing you weren't going to play this year, expecting you to, kind of.
And that's the thing. And so we took care of you. We'll take care of you again to a degree.
Mm-hmm.
And then once you start, we'll do whatever. Maybe you do start this year, projected, whatever goes on with that. But the problem is, like I've had guys over there that I've talked to, and they talk to the players and like, well, my agent, like the agents are only getting paid if those guys get in the portal.
Yeah.
And so what do you think they're telling them the whole time? Like they're not giving them good information. They're not giving them sound life advice saying, hey, is it really worth you trying to chase another $100,000 when they're paying you good right here?
Because that money's not going to go to the players. It's going to go to their agent.
And that's the point. And it's just, it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
I can get you another $100,000, but is it better for my career?
No. And I think that some of those conversations and what Nicole and Jay-Z are talking about with long-term roots and legacy applies directly to Bo Jackson. Like I'm really happy that everyone is able to come together, Bob, with a deal that they like.
Hopefully nobody liked it, because if nobody liked it, it probably was good for everybody.
Good, in this situation, you hope everyone walks away feeling Ohio State gets another year of Bo Jackson at least, and Bo Jackson gets to establish himself as Ohio State's starting running back. I don't know what the actual dollar amount is. That stuff isn't really important to me. It's private information for him and his contract, and it's also why I love collective bargaining agreements so that we can shine a light on some of this.
Well, there is the Freedom of Information Act. That's public dollars that are going there. It's to unlayer that and unearth that may take a year, but
that's
that's going to all change by the time you get the information anyway.
It's an adventure I don't want to take, Nicole, but I am.
How about these adventures?
I am looking for my next
fun
adventures and Justin's next adventure and Bob's, and we know exactly where to go to find it. That's Tansky Powersports. It's your one-stop shop for ATVs, dirt bikes, golf carts, and so much more. Whether you're looking for speed, power, or versatility, Tansky Powersports has something for everyone. With the best brands and expert service, visit Tansky Powersports today at 2491 West Dublin Granville Road, or browse their huge selection online at TanskyPowersports.com. Tansky Powersports, where the adventure begins.
But if you need to go on that aforementioned adventure and you're a little hungry on the way there,
well, you're going to work up
an
appetizer
3.
As you're going up Olentangy to Bethel,
yep,
you can stop right here.
And you can look at these.
You can swing by the Henderson location.
Cheesy bacon
there you go. That's right there.
Locations.
Yeah, exactly.
Cheesy bacon fries. They've got a little cheese. What I love.
Where does this rank on the power rank?
This is pretty good. Now, if I'm going to choose my vessel of this, a wedge is probably superior to the fry, but I do like air frying this and getting it extra crispy, and it's really nice. But anytime you can put pig and potato together with the bacon
some
on top.
cheese.
Oh, and it's really good. The cheese in there. We're bringing it home, Nicole. $3.
Can't
All
wait.
Tuesday.
What I was most impressed with was as Bob and I were commiserating after the Cotton Bowl, and we had a spread back at the media hotel. Bob went with the rarely seen double potato delivery device, scooping up mashed potatoes with a chip. That was
Really?
Yeah.
and I
That's
had to tip my
I was really
cap.
sad.
Sometimes you just got to do it.
I was really sad.
Eat my feelings.
That'd have been the urban pizza photo,
Yes.
Bobby with the chip into the mashed potatoes.
What else do I have in here? Just what's my vehicle?
Close
I didn't
out
have any-
2025.
I didn't have any
with a bang.
silverware.
I don't have a spoon. I'm going to use this chip.
Looks good.
I was glad to see it. I loved it. And you, Nicole, you've got an opportunity to get your rooting interest back on the right track tonight.
Yes.
NFL playoff style.
Yes. So excited for the Texans. CJ and Cade Stover. It's going to be a fun game to watch. And excited for Jack Sawyer
Yeah.
and Will. I mean, I know he's not playing right now, but still, it's just some big time for the Buckeyes.
I saw some of the Embrace debate shows on Monday, Nicole, saying, who would you rather have, C.J. Stroud or Aaron Rodgers at this very moment? And Jay-Z, I don't know how that can be a legitimate conversation at all.
Today, yeah, not really.
Like, what are we talking about?
Yeah, I mean, he's Aaron Rodgers. He's the gunslinger. Hey, Rod. I mean,
It's a discount double check.
he's discount double check.
Yeah.
It's fun to see an old guy like that have some success. But I mean, I'm not taking him over CJ.
It's just exciting to see CJ out there.
It is. He's young, and
It is.
he's going to be in that league for
And
years to come. It's
They had a
gonna be-
rough start, pulled it back together. And
Were you
now
worried?
It's exciting.
End of September.
Oh,
people
yeah.
saying CJ's.
She was worried.
It wasn't
CJ's
looking
lost
great. It wasn't looking great.
Okay.
A lot of anger in my household,
Yeah.
but
What's the vibe today?
The vibe is a lot of nerves.
Okay.
A lot of nerves. The first thing my son said was, I'm nervous for the game.
5 a.m.
5 a.m. And I was like, do you have a game tonight? And he's like, Mom, the Texans. And he was like, you're going to wear your sweatshirt? Yes, I will. Okay, if that's my contribution, yes.
Do you have a score prediction?
No.
Oh,
I know. I don't know.
that's disappointing.
I know.
Are
so
you
good.
retired from that? No apologies, Nicole. Won't make score predictions this year because I'm going to need to adjust if that's the way it is in 2026.
Gosh,
You
Yeah,
guys,
big
I don't.
time, yeah.
I don't know enough about
Just be a fan.
NFL. Oh,
I think
Just
it'll
be
be
a
a
fan.
lower. I would anticipate a lower scoring game.
you
It's
think?
Yeah,
probably gonna
Pittsburgh's
be
not
pretty
scoring
cool.
a lot of points.
Pittsburgh's not
nowadays.
scoring a lot. Their
Now,
defense is
DK's
pretty good.
back,
Like-
right? So that helps a little
Yeah.
bit. But
21-7.
Yeah, I love it.
think.
Let's go with
a
that.
beat
Okay.
down.
that's a beatdown.
14
I like
points to beat down. In the
I
I like
NFL.
it. You
Let's
know, I like
go.
to usually look these things up ahead of time, so it was really hard for me just to come up with that.
Well,
But
I wonder what the
don't
spread is.
apologize.
Do my
Texans. I'm
research.
going heavy on the Texans. I can't imagine that spread is 14.
Yeah, let's all load up
Yeah.
on the Texans and get rich in 2026 on
Yes.
Nicole's gambling advice. Is there anything else going on right now, Nicole, that we need to be aware of?
we will hopefully be opening our Marysville location soon.
Wait,
Yeah,
I
got that.
can't give a date yet, but very soon, right around the corner.
That's going to be
And
wonderful.
then national championship game, we're open. We'll stay open until the game's over. Come in, watch it, or get carry out.
Is that next Monday?
Yeah.
It is next
Yeah.
Monday.
Yeah, I feel like it came so quickly last year.
That's what she said.
I felt like it was a Bob, always. Always.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
Easy.
Is what it is.
Hey,
Sometimes when you throw that softball up there, it's just got to be hit out of the park sometimes.
here's the good news for you. The Texans are favored by 3 tonight.
Ooh.
That's
yeah.
it.
Let's
See,
load
this
up.
is why I've got to do
That's
my
but
research,
they're
guys.
a road game. They're a road team though,
Road
so
team.
that's big.
They only give up 15 points on the road.
Yeah,
I
favored by
saw.
3. It's 38.5. So like probably a 21-14 score. Probably
24-17, somewhere in that
Yeah,
range.
I'll be
Yeah.
texting you when it's 21.
No, I'm teasing
Might-
Texans up to 13.5 because Nicole said so.
I wouldn't do that.
Let's get some juicy odds
Oh,
on that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah, you
she
would.
said.
You-
Then I can pop back in tomorrow and buy all the cheesy bacon fries that I want.
Yes.
And I'm going to do that. Let's do
Let's
that
do
tonight.
it.
All
I
right.
would do it.
We are going to talk about the transfer portal. We're going to talk about roster management. We're going to talk about everything else going on at Ohio State when we come back in here for the second half. But, I just want Nicole to relax, to get ready for the Texans and Steelers and let her remove herself from that chaotic conversation. And we'll just have optimistic Birm weigh in instead as we roll along on the live show at Roosters, a fun casual joint brought to you by Tansky Powersports and Bryant Heating and Cooling Center.
Precision engineering, rigorous attention to detail. A Bryant Evolution heating system is so well designed, it's as much of a joy to install as it is to use.
Good to go.
Bryant, whatever it takes.
To make sure your home stays comfortable, contact Weston Air Heating and Cooling at westonair.com.
Roosters has been so fortunate. We just want to be able to give some of that back to the community.
They donate to organizations that are near and dear to their heart, and we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long time.
They always go above and beyond to help support our foundation to further help veterans.
It's just a wonderful feeling to know that Roosters supports the Buckeye Cruise for Cancer.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Welcome back into the live show. Berm is here. What time is the press conference today? When are we supposed to be down there?
I don't know. We haven't seen the announcement for Ryan Day's resignation yet, or Ross Bjork's firing yet. So, it could be any time.
Oh, so neither of those are going to happen?
I doubt it.
I mean, Wednesday.
Not today, is what you're saying.
Well, dude, I mean, have we not learned in this business? I will never say never. I mean, who the hell knows what happens around, different universities. I think Ohio State, however, this week is safe from like any fundamental, program change.
So you're telling me that Ryan Day is an active participant in all of this transfer portal planning that's going on right now?
Seems like it.
Okay.
As the head coach, I think that's his job, right?
Okay.
So, it's obviously been a weird couple days. People don't really like it when Ohio State loses players and don't add them. But then when Ohio State does add them, people think that those players stink. So
Exactly. And that's the other thing, too. Like, they need to get older, they need to get this, they need to get in the portal. And I'm like, look what Indiana did. I'm like, all right. And they start adding players. Well, these players aren't any good. I'm like, well, neither were a lot of Indiana's players.
Yeah, 90% of the guys who transferred to Indiana last year, no one's ever heard of, and then now they're all ass
no.
kickers.
Revisionist history told me that Fernando Mendoza had a round one NFL grade. I go, really? But he chose not to go to the NFL. How many Cal games have you watched of Fernando Mendoza's? Because I'm going to be honest, I watch a lot of college football. I maybe watched a quarter because I stumbled into it, and I thought like, oh, this is kind of intriguing.
I'm not doing. I still have some drink left. So I'm going to watch some of this one.
Some Berkeley After Dark.
You know what? I can get to 10 Things I Hate About You after this.
Yeah. I know how that movie starts. I'm going to watch some of this.
Click back after the commercial.
But wait, so Indiana didn't immediately become the betting favorite to win the national championship with their portal class?
I think they were like
weren't
plus
they like
1,600 or something, even back in like October. So whatever.
And they were
matter.
like 20th coming into the season or something ranking, right?
I understand we're somewhat mocking the fringe that is demanding all of this chaos happens. But it does. You can understand the chaos feeling for people who are not able to really get a grasp like that you get, or that sometimes we get, of talking to people in the building that are like, everything's fine. Please, everything's fine.
Pets' heads are falling off.
So like Petey?
Pretty bad.
Yeah.
So.
Did Mark Pantoni sell a headless parakeet to a blind kid?
Yeah, but there are different tranches of why these things are happening.
Well, that's the thing. It's different buckets for probably every player, and you can explain this.
Right. I mean, that's the reality. You see 27 guys going to the portal, but then you ignore that there's 28, or they just signed 27 players in December. Because then you think, well, we're losing all these players. Well, you just added 27 players, so now there's 27 in the portal. That's not normally the way it always works. Obviously, you have the Caleb.
But some of those 27, like there's some walk-ons and they're guys that people have never heard of.
There was, 5 or 6 guys who were walk-on players, but when it comes to the scholarship players, and I think it especially upsets people when it's true freshmen that are leaving, especially true freshmen that played, the Quincy Porters, the Fahim Delanes. Those are the ones that you look at and you're like, oh, that's kind of shocking. Jarquez Carter, for example, a player that last spring Ohio State was really lauding about where he'd been.
Played well.
But every player has a different reason for leaving. Fahim Delane, for one, is a guy that people are like, oh, he's a presumptive starter next year. He's going to start. Well, not really, because Ohio State told him, hey, we're going to add Terry Moore and Earl Little. And that's when Fahim made his decision. Like, hey,
you got to compete for it. We're not just going to give it to you.
Jarquez Carter, Ohio State is having a fundamental shift in the defensive tackle position, what they're looking for, why they're doing that. I mean, obviously, I think there's room for both types of defensive tackles, but they want to get bigger. So Jarquez Carter at 6'1", 285 pounds is not the size that they're looking for at defensive tackle. So he's going somewhere else for a different reason. it brings up an important question that people have asked this weekend. Well, if you're moving away from the smaller defensive tackles, why are you hosting Francis Brewery from Pitt, who's a 6'1", 285-pound defensive tackle? But
he can play tomorrow.
But they're not recruiting him really either. He's a Columbus kid. There are all these conversations happening about when transfer portal visits get arranged and who they get arranged through, and
who's announcing them.
And Brewery did visit, but it was more of a let's just get eyes on him and see if he and is he what we thought when he was a high school kid out of Columbus. And so then fundamentally you're like, okay, well, he's still not what we're looking for. And then you have, of course, the Quincy Porter situation, where that's just a guy who has an opportunity to go get paid significant money, committed to Notre Dame on Monday, and he's going to get paid a lot there and have a chance to be wide receiver 1 or 2. And if
he went to Notre Dame, correct? And they might bring in also
Mylan Graham. Again, Mylan's a different story altogether. Yeah. Again, when you're talking about these different buckets, even Mylan's a different bucket than Fahim or Quincy or Jarquez Carter. So that's a situation where you're like, well, we're 3 years into you being here, and we haven't seen you be that guy. And I think from an Ohio State perspective, from a fan perspective, you should realize like Brian Hartline didn't even try to bring Mylan Graham to South Florida.
Yeah.
So like maybe it's not that big of a loss when you think about it from a straight up roster build situation.
David Adolph in a lot of games this year when third receiver, fourth receiver.
I'm going to tell you, and
ahead of both of those guys.
I certainly can't like prove it, but I've had enough conversation with people in the last 72 hours that if South Florida could have taken one of those receivers, they would have preferred David Adolph. But like David Adolph is
South Florida, their new head coach actually proved that last year when his decision was to
playing
because Quincy Porter is separate, but Bryson Rogers, Mylan Graham, and David Adolph were all healthy in the middle of November. Which one of those 3 guys played, Bob?
Adolph.
Yeah. So, we already know that that's how we evaluate.
Yeah, and then obviously there's other extenuating factors that you have to measure in, like Quincy Porter, for example. Like he's not going to play all spring because he's going to have a knee surgery. So he's going to, it's a difficult conversation for Ohio State to have a kid who had 4 catches walk into the office and say, I need to double my money, and I'm also not going to play this spring.
I'm not going to play, and I want to be guaranteed to be starting.
Right. So
and it's like, well, we just applauded and lauded Ryan Day and Mark Pantoni and for getting it done with Chris Henry. And try to tell you, it's a little bit of an NFL model where you can't pay your 4th receiver what you need to pay your offensive lineman or your guard or this. Like there is a finite amount of money.
Yeah.
I mean, it is infinite in theory, but there is a finite amount, and paying your 4th receiver $1 million, which or whatever that number is, like you've got to pay offensive linemen, and you can't pay a guy that much. And Chris Henry's got to play.
Yeah.
Like that's if you're going to pay guys like that coming out, like he's got to be a J.J. Smith type player.
But you also can't really fault Quincy Porter or his people for asking for it when they are privy or hearing the conversation around the Chris Henry Jr. negotiations a month prior, right? So, like at that point, you walk into the office and say, "Hey, we're hearing that this player X got this amount of money. I'm actually been here a year. I know the playbook. I'm more in line to play right now. I need this amount of money." And so, but there's always that like what next conversation, and that's what really got brought up in the Bo Jackson stuff is that whatever you give Bo.
Yeah.
Now you have to also give more to Isaiah West because, I mean, Bo's not 100% of the snaps for Ohio State this coming year. The plan has never been for Bo to be the 100% of the snaps. He's another guy who's not going to likely participate in spring football. So you have Isaiah West, who is like the only returning running back that has any carries. He's going to have to take the majority of the snaps in spring, and which increases his possibility of getting hurt this spring.
Yep.
You then have to balance how much money you're paying him, and that has to change because there's all these pieces that just like this leads to this. Like there's no structure that actually protects anybody.
Well, and the reality is too, the agents only get paid when the guys get in the portal,
right?
And so, what's the incentive for the agent to tell
and the agent sets the market value by saying we're not. For example, one player. Sorry to interrupt, Bob, but one player that Ohio State fans have heard about for a few years now. Is back in the transfer portal. To even get that player on campus for a visit to see if, hey, maybe this time around it makes the most sense. I've heard, and again, it's always heard, so you can never really verify this stuff, but I've heard that player and his representatives are requiring a guarantee that the amount that they would be paid is at least $2 million for this year to even make a visit. So, like, they're just...
Are those his agents or his legal representatives?
I don't know. They're all the same, but or they're not. I don't
know.
The reality is, like, there's just no rules. There's no guidelines. There's no structure. And, like...
What if you fire your agent after signing the deal and have your dad go broker another one somewhere else?
And that didn't seem like it worked out that well.
And then you have to stick around anyway because you realize that the first one you signed is actually pretty darn tight.
Yeah.
I think it's like it's so complicated to talk about all of this because I understand why there is skepticism from fans, from people outside the Woody Hayes Athletic Center. The volume of people, even if we could give explanations.
Even former players who are more privy to this
Dude,
conversation.
I walked there's 30 guys in there today.
Yeah.
I mean, like
30 new players.
Yeah. I mean, some of them, I go, what's the breakdown? Like, well, we got some freshmen coming in. We got some portal guys. Who really, the equipment guys and the trainers, like, what are we?
Who are you?
We did 80 physicals. We're doing exit physicals, entrance physicals.
Portal physicals?
Portal physicals, the equipment guys are.
Sizes for
who
everything.
Who am I supposed to buy stuff for?
Yeah.
What are the sizes that we need? Which that sounds like trivial. He's like, but I can't buy, 20 more pairs of 13s if we have 10 guys coming that need 14. I mean, like, there's real issues with that.
Yeah.
Like, of trying to figure it out. Like, of what things look like and who the heck's going to be here.
But there's a million different things that we can talk about that make this chaotic and complicated. And I think the problem is if there's a perception that it is either the plan is working or the plan is failing. That there's
plan might be a work in progress a little bit too.
You have to it is not a thumbs up or a thumbs down, Justin. Like, this. So you have plan A, and Ohio State's going to take those swings. And whether that was with the signing class or with the NFL draft evaluations and decisions or with the transfer portal, sometimes you get new information. Like, it doesn't mean that if a player went somewhere else who was initially on their board that Ohio State wouldn't or couldn't or got outbid. Like, sometimes you have to shift away from what you thought you were going to do, whether that's positionally or financially or medically or whatever else. And so that's just one part of one conversation. And all of this stuff, Ohio State, I feel like, to me, Ryan Day, Mark Pantoni, whoever else we want to talk about specifically with position, they've proven pretty good at pivoting if one plan doesn't work and going to another. I don't think it's any reality to say, well, the top of the board thing didn't work out. I guess we're done. Let's fold up the program. Like, we can't compete anymore. That's not going to be Ohio State's approach, and I don't think it's, to me, fair to say that it is pass or fail.
Birm, do you think this is the new normal? Like, I don't know if you heard me when I talked about the pathway to play at Ohio State now. Mm-hmm. And really, your big state school that you grew up wanting to be at. I mean, do you see that under the current format? It seems like now these teams will be loaded with portal guys.
You don't even care about that 5-star high school kid coming out.
No,
anymore,
I mean, that's the only high school kid you care about. That's the harder part is that, I mean, I got a call, it was a Tuesday night last week of like a hey, heads up, there's a lot of things that are going to come here in the next couple of days that are going to freak people out. But the reason why is we're changing the way we build our roster. And there is no way to change the roster on the fly without it being unnecessarily frustrating.
A little painful.
Like, it's not, you're not going to get everyone to pause and be like, okay, everyone, let's swap out rosters and then we'll start over. Like, that's not how it works. So the Buckeyes are in the fundamental shift, but part of what you're saying, I think the problem is that the outcome of this is simply measured, right? Like, did you win or not?
Yeah.
But to get to that outcome, there are so many things that you have no control over. And the things you do have control over, you don't really have control over because, you'd like to pay Chaz Coleman $1.8 million, but then you have to have it. And so you can say, well, we would pay this, but then where's that money coming from? So then there's all these other moving parts.
There's a term that some of my friends used to use when they graduated from college. It was fake it till you make it.
Sure, which is fine. But
then
you have to write checks to these kids. And so
you don't want to bounce the check. That's the problem. Faking those is not a good idea.
So because then agents understand, well, hey, they're not even going to pay you. Let's not even have those conversations. So to your question, everything's changed. I mean, you're going to see, and I've talked about this. I wrote about it at Letterman Row. We've talked about it on the beat a couple times. But the roster breakdown is going to go from being 65 4-stars at Ohio State or higher to like 45.
Yeah.
Because that's who you have to pay. So the other 50 guys on the bottom of half the roster, every year they can leave and it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So, and Zach Bourne talked about it on the Bourne Blitz this morning with Austin on the beat on the Austin Birm Show. It's a really good.
We have
a lot of shows going on there.
The Bourne Blitz
it's a
on
really,
the beat on the Austin and Birm
But he
Show.
brought up a really excellent point. He brought up
we make it complicated for ourselves.
He brought up a really excellent point, which is that bottom 40, bottom 50 guys, you're going to see a lot more projects. You're going to see a lot more homegrown kids that are saying, hey, I just want to wear
go
the
to Ohio
Scarlet.
State.
Go to Ohio State. Yeah.
Like,
So
$25,000.
the Ryan
I'm there.
Rudzinskis, kids like that, who kids like Ryan Rudzinski, who no one ever talks about because he just plays on special teams. He's like maybe the best athlete on the team. That's a totally different conversation.
Yeah.
Like that's what the bottom half of the roster is probably going to have to be constructed of.
Like everywhere. Like that's what Indiana, that's what Miami. Like after you get through their top 40, 45 guys, I mean, it gets.
That was one thing that stood out to me in a major way against Miami. Is like they didn't rotate at all because they couldn't.
Yeah.
Like you are paying your top 15 guys on defense, and that's it. And that is where Ohio State, I think, realizes it has to go. A, you get older because you are. If you're building a roster that's full of 17 and 18-year-olds,
people get older.
They stay the same age.
Yeah.
You're building a 17 and 18-year-old roster, and then you're playing a bunch of 23, 24, 25-year-olds. You're going to lose a lot of times, even if those 17-year-olds maybe have a higher ceiling down the road. So you're getting older, but then you're also narrowing the focus of how many guys you're paying at an elite level. So
it's like the NFL. I mean, it's the NFL
the
model.
recruiting classes are going to shift. That 28-man class, Ohio State might sign 28 guys next year too, but what you're going to find is like 10 or 12 like
elite guys, and
elite guys,
other guys that maybe can come here and develop and get better. And
if those elite guys don't pan out and don't play right away, then they're going to be gone. Like this is the way it's going until there are actual contracts, until there's a CBA, until there's this is the only way that you can ride this wave.
This is the way.
It's pretty ugly and it's pretty stupid, and it's totally understandable why people get pissed off when they look at it.
I wasn't okay with an 8-4 season last week. At this, I'm like,
well, I mean,
I don't care. Just let everybody leave.
But that's a
I don't care
possibility.
if we
wait a minute.
I'm like, if they don't want to be here, let them go. We'll figure it out.
But I mean,
yeah, I know.
Yell
Old
at the
man,
cloud.
get off my porch and get out of my backyard.
But I think that's, as we sit here right now, when Ohio State is paying that top 45, the amount they are, they're still going to be one of the 5 or 6 most expensive rosters in college football, and they're going to be one of the 5 or 6 most talented at the top.
Well, the amazing narrative that I heard was how Ohio State is cheap, and like Ross is holding money back. Him and Pantone are playing money
need
ball.
more, and he's
they're
like,
playing
no.
money ball. I'm like, hold on. So like, where do you think they're holding that money back for themselves? It's not like they're Berm's favorite guy, Mike Brown, who like every dollar he doesn't spend,
he actually gets to keep it.
He gets to keep it. Like they're not holding dollars back. Part of the reality is, and I've told people this, and nobody wants to hear it, and that Columbus has one of the best GDPs of cities. Like, that's great. But what they don't have is a dude that's worth billions who just cares. He's trying to show you something here. Who just cares about football. And it says, hey, how much do you need? I'll give you this. We can do whatever.
It's like a Mark Cuban coming out and saying they're much happier this year than they were last year because
Ohio State doesn't have that. So they get it, they put it together, but they still don't have that guy. And people get frustrated about that. I go, it doesn't mean that they're cheap. It doesn't mean they're going broke. And by the way, this is the same team, same 1 year later.
It's less than a year since Ohio State won the national championship.
And that we quote bought the roster, most expensive roster in college football history. So please explain to me, like, that what they spent all their money and now they're shopping at Walmart. We weren't, just at Nordstrom's, and now we can't do anything.
And there are still other moving parts, which we're just getting conversation about right now. Which is like there are still players on the Ohio State roster.
Schefter over here.
There are still players on the Ohio State roster.
Break the news
that the Buckeyes are waiting to hear if they're going to the NFL.
Yeah,
so there's so many moving parts you can't even bring somebody in because you don't know if this guy's coming back.
This is a good example of that, Jay-Z, where Ohio State was already proactively making a backup plan. Like, we expect that Max Clare is going to go to the NFL draft. Well, they have already hosted a visitor, a productive player from Northwestern, and now if you keep Max Clare, well, a portal combatter, they didn't get caught unaware. They were planning, and if they got Max Clare back, great. You didn't need Plan B, but Plan B.
Now you need Plan B.
A Northwestern tight end who's got proven productivity in the Big Ten. All right, well, you
who's
should
a
do it.
seventh-year guy. Like, you're going to add a 25-year-old to your roster. This is the way it's going. And so you're still waiting. Like, people are saying, hey, well, where's the defensive line? Well, you're still waiting to figure out how much you have to pay Kenyatta Jackson to come back. Yeah. So, and then, well, where's the money? Where's the money, Lebowski? Like, you can't just say, well.
That's from the Big Lebowski.
No, I know that one. I know that one.
You have to also understand that a guy like Julian Sain, who we've talked about in the last week.
I try to tell people, I go, he went to the Heisman Trophy finals.
He's now going to have to be paid 4 or 5x what he was paid last year to stay at Ohio State. So who's that money coming from?
So people go, what do you mean? I go, well, he was a first-year starter last year, and I think they kind of got him
in a competition right up to the season.
So you had to bring back Jeremiah Smith, who I'm guessing that was probably one of the more expensive.
Well, I mean, that's different because, like, at this point, Jeremiah is probably not part of the revenue share plan.
Oh, I get that, but like still, those dollars are all dollars from somewhere. Mm-hmm. And then you had to bring in Chris Henry, which was not going to be cheap. I go, every starter wants a raise, which is, and people like starter for failure, raises for failure. I'm like, okay, you can say whatever you want, but all those guys, and I'm like, and you got to pay the Heisman Trophy finalists. What do you mean? I'm like, well, based upon what I heard about the Jamal Williams situation, if he's worth $4 to $5 million, you tell me what Julian Sain is worth.
Right, and I can sit here comfortably and say that he made a fraction of that last year. So, like, now you always have to pay the piper. Like, there is no free lunch. So someone's paying for it, and it's not. I mean, money's fungible. Like, if you take it from one guy, it can go to the next, but that doesn't mean the other. There's just left over for player X. Like, this is not the way it works, unless you happen to know a billionaire out there that wants to just bank on the Ohio State football program.
Send him on down to the
By the way, like, if you're
don't do this.
What?
How many billionaires?
You're going to talk about Venezuelan oil reserves?
Oh no, I mean listen, I think we're deep down the road with our guy. He might be joining the team. I saw there was a portal visit. They had him in a visit.
If you think about all the guys in that one,
the photo of it he shared with us last week after the show.
If you think about all the potential billionaires in that one Brooklyn prison, like Rutgers should be just banking right now.
But
the longest yard, they got a great football team.
The question though, becomes you look at a team like Oregon, who obviously everybody knows Phil Knight and Oregon and the Nike,
they had 8 guys enter the portal on Sunday night.
Oh, they had guys in the portal during the game. And here's the thing: the last 2 years,
a starting running back left into the portal 2 weeks ago in the middle of.
They've been top 5 team the last 2 years at the final rankings.
And then they had to play a safety at running back.
And then they got smoked both times.
Yeah.
And so you can argue by teams that are playing for potentially winning a national title, but getting in that realm. I mean, this is not the situation with Ryan Day. You have a competent coach, you have a competent program. Hopefully, I feel very confident that they've got because then the other thing is Matt Patricia. They're being too cheap. I'm like,
they're not being cheap.
They are trying to do whatever they can to keep him. I feel very confident that he would be compensated to a degree that maybe no other Ohio State,
other assistant in college football
in history, nobody's done it bigger.
No assistant in college football will make more money than Matt Patricia. Whenever this gets done,
grandest contract of all time.
Anybody who thinks
not just me saying it, many people are saying it.
Many.
If anyone thinks that Matt Patricia is in the wrong for waiting to see if an NFL head coaching job comes up, that's stupid. I mean, of course, he has every right to do that, and Ohio State is prepared one way or the other. But the Buckeyes aren't being cheap because
someone goes, they should match any offer. I go, if Jerry Jones says I'm going to pay Matt Patricia $5 million to be our DC, I go,
I think Ohio State would match that. To be honest,
maybe, but at some point. You're talking about a guy who is worth what the university is worth, not fully, but close, in that realm. Yeah. And if he just wants to pay that, that's what he's going to do. Yeah. And you have to make a decision at some point. I love Matt Patricia. He's the best. I've been on his team. I'm on the Matt Patricia team all day. But you're going to pay him more than Ryan, like you said, NFL head coach. At some point, you can't.
If somebody like the Falcons lose their mind,
maybe he can be offense coordinator too, and we just pay him.
Yeah, I mean, let's think.
I brought that up.
He's done it before. I mean, you do both of them.
But here's the one thing that stuck with in my mind when you talked about Moneyball and Ross Bjork and Mark Pantoni, Bob.
We became the Oakland A's. We went from the Yankees the year before.
But if that was true, if you were using NFL Moneyball, you wouldn't be paying Jeremiah Smith, and you wouldn't have renegotiated with Bo Jackson on Friday. Those are positions that you would just move away from. That's not what's happening. No. Period.
They're very active in this. It didn't happen as fast as people wanted. They may not know everybody. And I go back. Do you think if you would have brought in Fernando Mendoza last year, would people have been doing backflips? No, no one knew who the hell he was.
But there's also a very small group of elite teams in the country that Ohio State wants to build its roster from.
Yeah.
Okay, so like yes, there are players like Hunter Welsing from Northwestern who make sense as a second tight end that they bring in this class. But Oregon, as I said, they just lost a dozen players on Sunday night. Those are players at Ohio State. You're talking about 6'5", 265-pound defensive ends who have 3 years left. Like those are guys. That's what we're looking for. You're not looking for 6'1", 230-pound defensive ends that haven't.
I don't know. Indiana got a lot of those guys.
Sure, but they got them from James Madison. Those are guys that Kurt Signetti knew. Like it's easier, but again, you can build a relationship.
And I read they cheat now too, right?
I mean, it's just
I saw that online.
Must be true.
Miami's roster is going to have a lot of turnover. Like there's body types, there's frames, there's prototypes you're looking for at Ohio State, and a lot of those guys are not even publicly announced in the portal yet. I expect we'll see a ton of like big name flurries as the portal ends this week, because it's not like guys have to make a decision by the end of this week. They just have.
Well, they got to make a decision if they're going to the league by Wednesday, and then. They have another week with the portal open?
Right, so the need to replace Kenyatta Jackson, maybe Wednesday, it's all of a sudden different than it is on Monday. So like these are things that you can't just say, well, we know everything, and so we can respond accordingly. Like everything that you know changes every single day.
It's fluid, bro.
That's one way to say it.
Fluid.
Yeah. And that's
trust your instincts.
By the time
that's what
we
Mav
get
said. Don't think.
We get one day closer to the portal
what
window
are you
closing.
Doing? You told me not to think.
And we get one day closer to Appetizer Threes Day. Cheesy, bacon, fries, they will be $3. Programming note, next Monday night is the national championship, but the live show at Roosters will be on Tuesday next week. So one day later, we'll be able to talk about whatever happened in that game and whatever happened to the end of transfer portal mania with Ohio State players leaving. Portal combat, as Bob has coined it. So
and the coach poach.
We'll see. Lots going on there, and we will cover it as we always do on 97.1 The Fan, 10 TV, 10 TV Plus on the Austin and Birm Show, and of course every week on the live show at Roosters, which is a fun casual joint. Thanks to Tansky Powersports and Bryant Heating and Cooling Systems. Thanks to Nicole Cox and the team at Roosters. Thank you to Jay-Z, Birm, and Bob. I am Austin Ward. Have a great week, folks. We'll see you next Tuesday.